Om Jnanatimarandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Mena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Sthapitam Mena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Gurun Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनसहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधा कृष्णपादान् सहगना ललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितांश्च हे कृष्णकरुणा सिन्धु दीनबन्धो जगत्पते गोपेश गोपिका कान्त राधाकान्त नमोऽस्तु ते तप्त काञ्चन गौराङ्गी राधे वृन्दावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद हरे कृष्णा कृष्णा कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे. So we will continue with this new chapter, chapter 7, which is the beginning of devotional service. So, till the last chapter, if we see the overview of things that are happened till now, in the first chapter, Arjuna was in deep distress and he was mentioning that, how can I kill my relatives? And even if I fight this battle, I'll not get happiness at the end of it, and sin will come upon me. If I kill all these aggressors, and family tradition will be ruined because all the great people are here, who can actually set the religious principles in proper order, and all of them, if they are killed and gone, so then all the people, rest of the people will be involved in irreligion. So it is not very good. So in this way, like Arjuna was putting so many different arguments, and in the second chapter, Arjuna actually surrenders to Krishna, saying, no, I cannot handle myself, it's too much, I want to be your disciple, I am stopping the friendly relationship of arguments and things like that, I want to surrender unto you. So then Krishna starts responding to each and every one of Arjuna's apprehensions. So Arjuna was telling, first thing is, he was attached to his relatives. So Krishna speaks Jnana Yoga. So that is the this one relationship between the body and soul, and what is matter and what is spirit. So it is generally Jnana means detachment, and the people who practice Jnana Yoga, so they are first step in the Jnana Yoga is that they have to take sannyas. So then the Jnana Yoga starts. So basically, jnana or analysis of things here. Here we can say that we can, some kind of a sankhya is used here. Some kind of analysis technique is used here for analyzing the difference between body and soul. So wherever we analyze things, we break relationships. That's my interpretation. One interpretation of this one. Wherever we analyze things, we break relationships, and wherever we express our emotions, like we actually make relationships. So here we see that Krishna was analyzing between the body and soul just to break Arjuna's relationship between his relatives and himself, right? So that breaking required some jnana. So like he puts forward that the philosophy of body and soul. So then after that, the next thing that Arjuna was worried about was happiness. And for happiness, Krishna is telling, Arjuna was telling that even if I fight this battle, I'll not be happy. So then Krishna is telling you, just do your work. If you do your karma properly, then the resultant action, the resultant thing, this one is that you will get happiness, and you can go to heavenly planets and things like that. So that's real happiness. If you at all want happiness, then you should do your work properly. And then third thing, basically sakama karma yoga, he tells, that means you do your work and enjoy, as the result of the work is enjoyment. If it is done, if the work is done according to the dharma, so then you will enjoy. So then third aspect that he mentions is sin. So how to avoid sin? If I get detached from the results of my work, If I don't get attached to the results of my work, then immediately I will be removed from sin. Only if I try to enjoy the results of my work, I will be bound by the reactions. If I don't want to enjoy the results of my work, then I'll be freed from the sinful reactions. Right? So that's the thing that Krishna mentions. So then after that, Arjuna asks about a sthita prajna and then self-realized person, and Krishna explains about that. So basically, second chapter is a khichdi of a lot of things, a lot of different yogas. Why? Because Arjuna's uh, like uh, troubles and problems were of different nature. No, he was just shooting different kinds of doubts, and Krishna was answering them, and it required different yoga systems or different application of yoga systems for answering his questions. So, but then Arjuna is getting confused. No, so then he asked in the third chapter that should I renounce or should I fight? No, what are you telling me? I am not able to understand. So then Krishna says, no, work is very important, and you should do karma yoga, and you be detached and do the karma yoga. And he says that no, if you falsely renounce out of depression what you're having now, so then it is not a proper renunciation. So renunciation should not be out of depression, it should be out of knowledge, out of sincere practice of karma yoga. So if a person develops jnana, so then after developing a little bit of jnana, he can attempt for jnana yoga. So he can jnana means purified senses, and his intelligence is purified, so then he can attempt jnana yoga. So but here Arjuna is like in depression in the battlefield. How can he attempt for no at taking sannyas and performing jnana yoga and things like that? That's not possible. So Krishna is telling it is no, it is not possible for you. No, forget about it. You will create, if you become a renunciant, you will create trouble in the society because you are not doing it in a proper way. And then Krishna says that even if you are qualified for renunciation, you should work, with a detached way, so that people in general will follow your path. You'll set a good example for people in general. So in that way, like, you'll be a no that's whether if you're not whether you're not qualified or qualified, whatever may be the case, you do karma yoga only. Krishna tells very, very clearly. And then Krishna talks about whatever may be the thing, if you want to do any kind of yoga, the biggest problem or biggest enemy in life is the lust. And this lust sits on three places: mind, intelligence, and the senses. And you have to control it by transcendental knowledge of by the culture of spiritual knowledge. So then in the fourth chapter, Krishna gets on to the transcendental knowledge. And in the transcendental knowledge, he says that this knowledge comes down in parampara. It is not just some hearsay kind of a knowledge. And then the knowledge is about whom? The knowledge is about Krishna only. The Krishna is beyond the modes of material nature. His birth and activities are all pure and completely beyond the modes of material nature. And then the Lord is like supreme, and we are just a small entity. We are not equal to the Lord. So these are all some of the transcendental knowledge that is mentioned in the second chapter. The transcendental knowledge of we are different from the body is mentioned. The soul and the spirit and matter is different. And in the fourth chapter, it is talked about the divinity of the supreme Lord. We are not, we can fall under the material nature, but Krishna cannot. So that divinity of the supreme Lord is mentioned. And then it is mentioned that this knowledge can be cultivated by the process of different kinds of yajnas, different kinds of sacrifices, different kinds of austerities. All the austerities of karma yoga, jnana yoga, dhyana yoga, everything is meant for this purpose, to bring about this knowledge, to bring about purification of the senses and bring about knowledge. That's the purpose of all the different yoga systems. And so you can like, these are all various kinds of sacrifices that are there. And no, one should do this for attaining knowledge, and one should approach a bona fide spiritual master. Tadvidhi pranipatena pariprashtena sevaya upadekshanti te jnanam jnaninas tattva darshana. So he's telling that one should approach a spiritual master and gain this knowledge from him, because he is purified in his consciousness, and he can actually award this knowledge to you. So in this way, like Krishna is explaining about transcendental knowledge, and again in the fifth chapter, Arjuna gets confused. Actually, in fact, in the fourth chapter, Krishna says, "Keep all the uh, work that produces karma far away, and then work with determination. Like get up and fight." And Arjuna is telling, like, "What is this? Keep all the karma far away and then get up and fight." So it is like, no. Again, he gets into the same confusion: should I take sannyas or should I fight? And then again, Krishna clarifies, saying that no, 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 I'm not asking you to take sannyas. So knowledge and like keeping the this one material work far away means it is not just what is that? It is not like taking sannyas. Even a detached worker in the household life, even he is also equivalent to sannyasi. One who is not attached to the fruits of his action, and one who is just acting as a matter of duty, and then he is devoted to the Supreme Lord. No, he's considered to be he's on the equal plane with a renunciant. And then Krishna talks about little bit more intensified form of meditation on the Supreme. So then when he talks about meditation, naturally the dhyana yoga comes. And in that way, like Krishna speaks about dhyana yoga also in the sixth chapter. And then towards the end of sixth chapter, Krishna says that no, the best of all the yogas is bhakti yoga. You can achieve everything that you can achieve in the other yogas. So it's like we can understand this. We saw that our enemy, that is lust, is sitting on mind, intelligence, and senses. That yoga, that which regulates the senses, that is the this one karma yoga, which talks about engaging our senses in so many different varieties of rituals and so many different procedures. And the hard-earned money is used in like appropriate ways in which the senses are not getting attached to the properties that we have accumulated. So in that way, like karma yoga regulates. And then the jnana yoga is application of intelligence by intellectually trying to understand how the world is functioning, and like what is the root of this world, and like in that way, analytical way, trying to understand the Lord. And then by using by using the intellect in the process of exploring the Supreme, so the intellect becomes purified, because the intellect is used for exploring the Supreme Lord. So in that way, the intellect is purified. So that is also the yoga which aims at regulating the intelligence. And then the dhyana yoga, it aims at regulating the mind. The mind is applied. So all the different kinds of this one, what is it, pranayama and asana, and all those things are not done, so that the mind can be in focus. So in the dhyana yoga chapter, we had studied the previous chapter. In the beginning, the word atma in this chapter means mind. Why? Because the dhyana yoga centers around mind, in centers around controlling the mind. So in this way, like it is a yoga that is meant to control the mind. So all these different yoga systems, they actually attack one of the strategic positions of the lust, where it is sitting. So but then the like bhakti yoga process, it actually fully satisfies all the different avenues. Right? So the bhakti yoga process actually, it engages the senses in the service of the Lord. It engages the mind. No, savai mana Krishna padara vindayo. So it actually engages the mind in thinking of the form of the Lord or service of the Lord and things like that, and engage the intelligence in planning for the Lord, and using the intelligence in a nice way. So in this way, bhakti yoga actually hits the root, and then it engages everything, all our capacities in the service. Right? So only meditation, only mind is involved. The senses can go crazy anytime, right? So and sometimes the mind also can go unruly. So it is very difficult. Everywhere there is a balance that is required. But in Krishna consciousness, we are engaged in cooking for the Lord, offering nice bhoga for the Lord, decorating the altar for the Lord, and studying the scriptures, singing about the Lord, and it's all very nicely and happily done, right? Susukam kartam avyayam, so that we will see in the ninth chapter, Raja Vidya Raja Guhyam Pavitram Idam Uttamam pratyaksha vagavam dharmyam, like susukum kartum avyayam, right? So like it's very, very happily done. This particular process is very happily done. So in that way, like the bhakti yoga process is really very wonderful, right? So with this, we will enter into the 7th chapter, wherein Krishna has concluded in the 6th chapter that bhakti yoga is the supreme, and he's going to spend 6 long chapters on bhakti yoga alone, right? So the other yogas are like bits and pieces here and there. It's given with the mixture of bhakti in every chapter. No chapter in Bhagavad Gita is exclusively karma yoga, exclusively jnana yoga, like that. No, every chapter has a good mix of bhakti, and there is exclusive bhakti in the middle, right? So it is all about some acharyas say that the first 6 chapters are talking about karma yoga tending towards the this one bhakti, or jnana yoga, sorry, like karma yoga tending towards bhakti, and in the last 6 chapters jnana yoga tending towards bhakti, and the middle 6 chapters are bhakti itself, right? So in that way, the middle 6 chapters are the heart of the Bhagavad Gita, and amongst them, the middlemost is 9th and 10th chapter. The 9th and 10th chapter are very, very special, and in the 10th chapter we have the Chaturshloki Bhagavad Gita, right? So in this way, the Bhagavad Gita is like explained as it's like a jewel box. So in the jewel box, the upper case is there and lower case is there. Both are casings, and it is trying to protect a valuable jewel within the box, and the valuable jewel here is compared to bhakti, and and the beginning is with karma yoga, and the last portion is with jnana yoga. So in that way, like that's a broader classification. Of course, the different yogas are discussed, but a broader classification. The first 6 is considered to be karma yoga, and the last 6 is jnana, and middle is bhakti. So in that way, like it is divided. So now let's get into this 7th chapter, which starts with the bhakti yoga. Text 1. Shri Shri Bhagavan Uvacha Maya Shaktamana Partha Yogam Yunjanmadashraya Asamshayam Samagram Mam Yatanyashasi Tatshunu. The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, "Now hear, O son of Pritha, how by practicing yoga in full consciousness of me, with mind attached to me, you can know me in full, free from doubt." Purport. In the 7th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, the nature of Krishna consciousness is fully described. Krishna is full in all opulences, and how he manifests such opulences is described herein. Also, 4 kinds of fortunate people who become attracted to Krishna, and 4 kinds of unfortunate people who never take to Krishna are described in this chapter. Okay. Prabhupada is also giving this summary. In the first 6 chapter of Bhagavad Gita, the living entity has been described as non-material spirit, soul, capable of elevating himself to self-realization by different types of yogas. And at the end of 6th chapter, it has been clearly stated that the steady concentration of mind upon Krishna, or in other words, Krishna consciousness, is the highest form of all yoga. By concentrating one's mind upon Krishna, one is able to know the absolute truth completely, but not otherwise. Impersonal Brahmajyoti or localized Paramatma realization is not perfect knowledge of the absolute truth, because it is partial. Full and scientific knowledge knowledge is Krishna, and everything is revealed to the person in Krishna consciousness. In complete Krishna consciousness, one knows that Krishna is the ultimate knowledge beyond any doubt. So it is like Vedescha Sarve Raham Eva Vedya Vedanta Krit Vedavit Eva Chaham. So of all the knowledge of all the Vedas, I am to be known. No, Krishna is telling. So knowledge is Krishna. So it is not like no, Krishna is different and knowledge is different. Knowledge is Krishna. So like Krishna is ultimate knowledge, beyond any doubts. So different types of yoga are only stepping stones on the path of Krishna consciousness. One who takes directly to Krishna consciousness automatically knows about Brahma Jyoti and Paramatma in full. By practice of Krishna consciousness yoga, one can know everything in full, namely the absolute truth, the living entities, the material nature, and their manifestations with paraphernalia. So we see that Krishna means, if you know Krishna, then you know everything. Right? So Krishna means Krishna has various kinds of energies, and some are material energy and some spiritual energy, and the marginal energy, we ourselves are there, the living entities. So in this way, knowing Krishna, we know everything of the entire creation. No, that's the meaning of knowing Krishna. Okay, one should therefore begin yoga practice as directed in the last verse of 6th chapter. So, yeah, just a small reference here. No, this Srila Prabhupada used to tell that he was going to the Western countries and he was meeting big, big scientists and great people, and he was talking with them, conversing with them, and things like that. And he used to defeat them in the arguments. And he would say, I am just an ordinary man from India, from Calcutta, and these people are big, big scientists and big, big people. How am I able to defeat these people? No, because I know Krishna, and because I know Krishna, I can defeat anyone. No, I know everything. So in that way, like Prabhupada used to say, that because no, Srila Prabhupada knows Krishna perfectly, he is a self-realized soul. No, any amount of materially educated person would come. No, Prabhupada would no smash their philosophy, and then they would. Some people would accept Krishna consciousness. At least some people, other people would acknowledge their defeat. No, acknowledge that they got defeated by this thorough philosophy of Srila Prabhupada. Right, so it's very, very amazing. No, Prabhupada could able to challenge anyone and everyone in the world. So that was the amazing aspect. So he used to meet with professors wherever, in whichever city he used to go. He used to ask for appointments with all these big professors, scientists, politicians, and all these people, and he would meet them. And Prabhupada would get audience because he was really making tremendous impact in the all over the world. No, people have suddenly started taking up to Krishna consciousness, and Krishna consciousness was making into news of Time magazine and big, big magazines at that point in time. So, like, Prabhupada would get audience anywhere he goes. Like anybody he wants to meet, he would get audience, and he would argue with them, and he would challenge them about the philosophy of life, and then he would establish Krishna consciousness, and this forces confidence. No, so this is the confidence of Srila Prabhupada. So by practice of Krishna consciousness yoga, one can know everything in full, namely the absolute truth, the living entities, the material nature, and their manifestations with paraphernalia. So whatever Prabhupada is writing here, it's not just some some feel good principles or some nice flowery words so that to attract other people to Krishna consciousness. No, he has practically demonstrated these things. No, in the advanced age, no, he just went to unknown places, and he could able to argue upon any topic that was presented to him, right? And of course, he would argue it on the basis of Krishna consciousness, and people would be like they would fall flat, with a sound argument. So that was the amazing thing. Okay, so one should therefore begin yoga practice as described in the last verse of 6th chapter. Concentration of the mind upon Krishna, the Supreme, is made possible by prescribed devotional service in the 9 different forms, of which Shravanam is the first and most important. The Lord therefore says to Arjuna, Tat Shrinu, or hear from me, is again a very, very important. This one. So, very, very important point here it's mentioned. Concentration of the mind upon Krishna, the Supreme, is made possible by prescribed devotional service in 9 different forms, of which Shravanam is the first and most important. No, that the Lord therefore says, Arjuna, Tat Shunu, or hear from me. So here there is a question: if Shravanam is the most important thing, now why we are giving importance to chanting? No, chanting is the yoga dharma. Chanting is the process for deliverance in this age of Kali. So, but then we say like Shravanam is the most important process here. So why is such a contradiction? No, if Shravanam is the most important practice, then all of us could have just heard some nice lectures and been there. Like, why chanting is put as the most important process? So, any inputs for this? Anyone would like to share something on this topic? Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Yes, Madhuji.
So chanting is also like first thing is hearing only, hearing the Lord's names. So
Hmm. Yeah. So chanting is very, very powerful because it involves hearing and chanting, two the most powerful two entities, in the Navavida Bhakti, right? So if I'm just hearing, then like there is the only one process that is happening, and then the mind may go here and there also. But chanting, if you observe, no, you cannot do chanting just like that. No, you have to sit down in one place, and then you have to hear. No, Shravanam is there, Kirtanam is there, and then no, your hands have to touch the beads. That is also a very, very important aspect of the chanting. So your hands have to touch the beads, and then no, you are chanting with the beads, and then the beads, we have to actually develop a relationship with our beads also. No, it's not that okay, beads are just some entity, like no, I'll just chant with anything and everything. No, we have to develop the attachment to the beads, and especially after we get initiated, the beads that is being given by the spiritual master, to chant upon. So that's very, very special for the devotee, right? So he really treasures that beads, and then he develops a relationship with that beads, and it's like it's more number of our senses are engaged in the service of the Lord, and it's very, very powerful. The first two very important senses, that is Kirtanam and Shravanam, both are involved, right? So in the same way, like when we take part in the Kirtan, many times devotees take it very lightly. No, Kirtan is some kind of a filler. No, if there is some program is there and some gap is there, okay, thoda Kirtan kar lenge. No, actually, no, Sankirtan is the most powerful of all the devotional services, right? So no, we are directly chanting the names of Krishna, and when the lead singer is singing, and then rest of them are following. So one time he sings, one time the others sing. So this is very, very powerful process. Kirtanam, we should absorb ourselves in Kirtanam, and like in the Sankirtan, the like singing of the names of the Lord. It's very, very condensed, very deep form of Krishna consciousness, right? So Kirtan and chanting, we have to have lot of focus and absorption, right? So we should have dedicated time for that. At least in ashram we have, like every day morning all of us come together and do the mangalarti, and solid half an hour of kirtan, and then again in the guru puja again half an hour of kirtan. So at least minimum, like 45 minutes of kirtan, though it is there every day, part of our schedule. So no, it is very, very important. And if somebody can attend the evening program also, so evening the gaur arati is there, so it will be like more than an hour of kirtan. It's very, very powerful. no so this is like Shravanam. We get a very nice aspect of Shravanam. And when we are attending arati, accompanied with kirtan, you can just imagine, that's like no is really amazing, because we are chanting, we are hearing, we are like seeing the form of the Lord and meditating on the form of the Lord, right? And our senses are engaged, like we are smelling the flowers that are offered to the Lord, and then we are smelling the incense, and our sense of touch is also involved when we clap for the kirtan and things like that. So more number of senses gets involved in the service of the Lord. That's the best form of devotional service, right? So, and amongst them, the Shravanam is like very, very important. And without hearing, we will lose interest for anything spiritual, right? So we lose interest for anything spiritual. So this hearing process have to be kept on. So I was just preparing for this Gita overview session, and one of the Gita Mahatmya slokas that is there in the introduction to Bhagavad Gita. So in the introduction to Bhagavad Gita, there is this shloka that just like we take bath every day, with water, in the same way, to like wash away our material kalmashas, we need to take bath in this one Gita every day. We should hear Gita, read Gita every day. That is how we will become purified, from the material contamination. So that is why here, it's very special emphasis is there on touch renew. Here, Krishna is actually putting this one here. Hearing is the most important process, and that is highlighted in the beginning of the topics of devotional service. The topics of devotional service starts with Shravanam. Okay, no one can be greater authority than Krishna, and therefore, by hearing from him, one receives the greatest opportunity to become a perfectly Krishna conscious person. One has therefore to learn from Krishna directly, or from a pure devotee of Krishna, and not from a non-devotee upstart puffed up with academic education. So here we see that uh, no, it's very very important aspect Prabhupada is mentioning. We have to directly hear from Krishna, or we have to hear from a pure devotee of Krishna. So that means, is it that hearing from pure devotee of Krishna is like, oh, like, no, anyway, I don't have the opportunity to hear from Krishna. I only have to hear from some devotee of the Lord. No, that is not the way. As much as we are no further in distance from the Lord, as many number of devotees are there between me and the Lord. No, the Lord becomes magnified. Just like just like if you add a magnifying glass, now when you go to this what is it, eye hospital, so they will know, those who are wearing spectacles, they'll know. So they know, if you go to the eye hospital, so the doctor will put, and there is a no this one some kind of a spectacle is given, and in that they'll keep adding the lenses. When we keep no adding the lenses, the object that we are trying to see becomes more and more clearer, right? In the same way, more the number of devotees that are there between ourselves and Krishna, no, we can get actually magnified picture of Krishna. We can actually see Krishna in more detail, right? So if you are very close to Krishna, we can get only a glimpse of Krishna. If we are no, little far away from Krishna, that is like we have many number of devotees between me and Krishna, so then we will become very very what is it, we'll get a very clear picture of Krishna. So it is not an unfortunate situation that we are not able to hear directly from Krishna. It is actually a fortunate situation that we are able to hear from the pure devotees of the Lord, right? So if we would have heard from Krishna, we would have not had all these purports, right? So we would have just heard the 700 slokas. And now we see like devotees add so much magnifying glass into it, and then they give purports after purports after purports, and we are able to understand and see Krishna more clearly, right? So that's the way it is. Krishna gave only 4 slokas of Bhagavatam, and the Bhagavatam expanded to 18,000 slokas. And Krishna gave only four, no, Krishna gave the whole of Bhagavad Gita, but then the 4 slokas are considered to be the primary of the Bhagavad Gita, Chaturshloki. And but still, no, whole of Bhagavad Gita is there, and on top of it, hundreds of commentaries by pure devotees are there. So in this way, like, we are very fortunate to hear from the pure devotees of the Lord. Okay, in the Srimad Bhagavatam, this process of understanding Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the Absolute Truth, is described in the 2nd chapter of the 1st canto as follows. Just a minute, I'll just close the window here. Okay, so this is a very interesting set of slokas, which Srila Prabhupada also cites in his prayers or in his bhajan on Jaladuta prayers, it is called, when he reaches the Boston Harbor. So, like, I think we sang also someday. So when Prabhupada reaches with after heart attacks, suffering heart attacks, and somehow surviving, so he's reaching the shores of the Western world. And when he's reaching the shore of Boston, so there he is composing a prayer, and in that he is telling that it's no, oh Krishna, where have you brought me? It is like a very very no, a horrible place that you have brought me to. Here people are filled with mode of ignorance and passion, and nobody has any clue of Krishna consciousness, and such a place you have brought me to. I don't know how will I convince these people. So, but then you must have some plan. No, if you have brought me here, you must have some plan. No, that's how you have brought me here. And in this way, like Prabhupada actually cites this as the Lord's plan. Cites this as the preaching plan, or the strategy for preaching. And this set of slokas are very very important. And when we did our first canto of Bhagavatam, that time also we discussed about this set of slokas very elaborately in detail. And these are exactly the way the Krishna consciousness can be delivered to people, right? So Shanvatam Swakatha Krishna Punyashravana kirtanaha hridayantastohi abhadrani vidunoti surut satam. So, like, actually, one sloka before this is also very important. Shushuto shraddhadanasya vasudeva kataruchi shan mahat sevaya vipra punya tirtha nishevanat. So when, if somebody accidentally also renders service to a devotee, then he gets the affinity to hear about the Lord. So he gets the desire or affinity to hear about the Lord. Next time when he meets a devotee, he will be in a right kind of mood to hear from him. No, that's the benefit of rendering service to a devotee. No, he'll get the interest to hear about the Lord. And then, no, what will happen once that interest comes? Shanvatam swakata Krishna punya shravana kirtanaha hridayantastav hi abhadrani vidunoti surutsatam. So when we hear, Krishna personally enters the heart, and then he starts cleaning the abhadra, cleaning all the inauspicious things that are there. And then vidunoti, doneka, like vidunoti, suhrit satam. So he cleanses the heart, by the process of hearing. So when we hear, so Krishna is actually cleansing our heart. And then nashta prayeshu abhadreshu nityam bhagavata sevaya bhagavatyuttama shloke bhaktir bhavati naishtiki. So all that is troublesome to the heart, no, abhadra, nashta praye means almost destroyed, no, almost completely destroyed, no, all the abhadras. Nityam bhagavata sevaya, no, one who is doing the hearing about the Supreme Lord every day, nityam, no. So every day, those who are hearing, so for them, no, it's all that is troublesome to the heart is almost completely destroyed. And what will happen? Bhagavat Yuttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtiki. He will proceed to the stage of Nishta. Right? So that means Anartha Nivriti happens, and then he will proceed to the stage of Nishta. So for doing the stage or getting through the stage of Anartha Nivriti, which is a vast stage, the only companion for us is Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya. Every day we must hear Srimad Bhagavatam with attentiveness and with the desire that let all this abhadra, let all this inauspiciousness that is clouding in my heart, may those be cleansed. No, and if it is cleansed, then with this pure consciousness, we can see the world clearly. We can do devotional service clearly. We can do everything in a nice way, right? So that's the whole point here. And then tada rajastamo bhavaha kamalobhadayaschaye chetayete ranaviddam sthitam sattve prasiddhati. So by this process of nityam bhagavata sevaya, it's not just nashta prayeshu, it's not just almost completely destroyed. Over a period of time, if we continue the process, then this rajas and tamas completely gets destroyed. No, kama lobhadayaschaye chetayete ranaviddam. And then Sthitam Sattve Prasidati, one gets completely situated, solidly situated in Sattva Guna. Sthitam Sattve Prasidati. I don't know if Prabhupada is quoting further more. Okay. Evam Prasanna Manaso Bhagavad Bhakti Yogataha Bhagavad Tattva Vijnanam Mukta Sangasya Jayate. So then he is situated in Prasanna Manasa. He'll be like very, very happy, deep from within, right? And Bhagavad Bhakti Yogataha, Bhagavad Tattva Vijnanam, he is like very, very clearly he is able to understand the Lord, because all that is passion and ignorance is gone. Then means we are situated in pure goodness. Pure goodness means clear vision. There is no clouding of our vision. And if clear vision is there, we will be able to see Krishna everywhere, because he is there everywhere. It's only because of clouding of the material contamination we are not able to see Krishna. But if we have the clarity of Sattva Guna, or the Vishuddha Sattva, the purified mode of goodness, so then we will be able to see everywhere Krishna. Bhagavat Tattva Vijnanam Mukta Sangha se jayate. If jnana comes, then what else is there? Mukti automatically follows. Mukta Sangha se jayate. So jnana and mukti both are synonymous. No, if the cleansing of senses happens, then automatically jnana arises. Jnana means mukti. Automatically we are liberated, right? And then vidyate hridaya granthis chidyante sarva samshayaha shiyante chasya karmani drishta eva atmanishware. He vidyante hridaya granthis, all the hard knots that is binding us to this world. Vidyante, vidyate means like it's cut to pieces. and chidyante sarva samshayah. All doubts are cut to pieces, right? And shiyante chasha karmani. So all the sinful reactions and all that thing that is binding us to this world, everything gets cut to pieces. And drishta eva atmanishware, and one sees the self as the master, or means one sees the Lord as the master, basically. Here the Atma refers to the Lord. So, okay, so to hear about Krishna from Vedic literatures or to hear from him directly through the Bhagavad Gita is itself righteous activity. And for one who hears about Krishna, Lord Krishna, who is dwelling in everyone's heart, acts as a best well wishing friend and purifies the devotee who constantly engages in hearing of him. In this way, a devotee naturally develops his dormant transcendental knowledge. As he hears more about Krishna from the Bhagavatam and from the devotees, he becomes fixed in devotional service of the Lord. By development of devotional service, one becomes freed from modes of passion and ignorance. Tada rajastamo bhava kamaloba desche, right? And thus, material lust and avarice are diminished. When these impurities are wiped away, the candidate remains steady in the position of pure goodness. Titam sattve prasidati, becomes enlivened by devotional service and understands the signs of God perfectly. Thus, Bhakti Yoga severs the hard knot of material affection and enables one to come at once to the stage of asamshayaha samagram, getting cleared of all the doubts. Samshaya, asamshaya means like there is no more doubts that are there. And understanding of the supreme absolute truth, personality of Godhead. So we will clearly understand the Supreme Lord. So therefore, only by hearing from Krishna or from his devotee in Krishna consciousness can one understand the signs of Krishna. Okay. Text 2. ज्ञानं तेहं सविज्ञानं यदं वक्ष्यामि असे शतः यज्ञात्वा नेह भूयोऽन्यज् ज्ञात ज्ञात ज्ञातव्यम avasishyate. So here, no, Krishna is mentioning that no, if avasishyate means like remaining. Natavyam avasishyate means like after getting to know about this knowledge, you don't need to know about anything else. There is nothing remains to be known, right? I shall now declare unto you in full this knowledge, both phenomenal and numinous. Thus, this being known, nothing further shall remain for you to know. Purport. Complete knowledge includes knowledge of the phenomenal world, that is the world around us, and the spirit behind it, and the source of both of them. Right? So the living entities and the material world and the spirit behind both of them, that's like or the source behind both of them, that is the Supreme Lord. So that's what Krishna is going to tell just in a while. Bhumi rapo analo vayo kammano buddhirevacha. So why in bhakti yoga, like Krishna is telling about earth, water, fire, air, ether? Because we need to understand that the Lord is not just, the Lord is not just an entity, like no, he is not just that person. Everything that exists belongs to Lord, and it is non-different from the Lord. It is kind of an energy of the Lord. So if we know the Lord, means we know the phenomenal world, that means the world that we are there in, and then the spirit behind the living entities, we are the living entities, and then the source of both is the Supreme Lord. And all of it is understood by a person who is in complete knowledge, right? So this is transcendental knowledge. This is really transcendental knowledge because it is giving us a perspective of how this is connected to Krishna, how every single entity is connected to Krishna. That perspective is given to us. So it is transcendental knowledge. If I just do metallurgy and if I just study some chemicals and things like that, that is not transcendental knowledge. But if I learn about how this chemical is connected to Krishna, then it becomes transcendental knowledge, right? So connection to Krishna makes it transcendental. Okay, so the Lord wants to explain the above mentioned system of knowledge because Arjuna is Krishna's confidential devotee and friend. In the beginning of the fourth chapter, this explanation was given by the Lord, and it is again confirmed here. Complete knowledge can be achieved only by the devotee of the Lord in disciplic succession directly from the Lord. Therefore, one should be intelligent enough to know the source of all knowledge, who is the cause of all causes, and the objects and the only object of meditation in all types of yoga practice. So that is the Supreme Lord. And when the cause of all causes becomes known, then everything knowable becomes known, and nothing remains unknown. Right. So when we know the cause, the supreme cause of everything, then everything is known. No, till the time we don't know the cause, like we may identify with so many different things, but then once we know the supreme cause of all the causes, then nothing remains to be known. In the Vedas, Mundaka Upanishad, like 113 say, Kasmin u Bhagavato Vijnate Sarvam Vidam Vijnatam Bhavati. So, like, once one who knows about the Supreme Lord, he knows everything, that is there. Hmm. Okay. So, Mataji is asking for more shlokas to memorize. Have you memorized the shlokas that already been given? So, it's a good point. Okay, that's great. Can you recite? Okay, not now. Fine. So, anyway, now we will also break out for the shloka. I was also thinking to again repeat those shlokas. It's very, very important set of shlokas that we have, and those needs to be memorized. I'll again share the screen, and then we will recite these set of shlokas again. Right, so we will try to do it. Some days I just get carried away with the session. Okay, so now we will recite the slokas. No, I'll recite 3 times at the end of every. Uh, I'll try to do it at the end of every session, so that at least over a period of 1-2 weeks, we will be able to completely memorize this set of slokas. This is very, very important set of slokas. We should memorize, meditate upon, and always remember this set of slokas. सवै मन कृष्ण पदारविन्दयोर्वाचांसि वैकुण्ठगुणानुवर्णने करौ हरेर्मन्दिरमार्जनादिषु श्रुतिं चकाराच्युत सत्कतोदये मुकुन्दलिङ्गालय दर्शने दृशौ तद्भृत्य गात्रस्परशङ्गसङ्गमम् ग्रानं च तत्पादसरोजसौरभे श्रीमत्तुलस्यारसनां तदर्पिते पादौ हरे क्षेत्रपदानुसर्पणे शिरो हृषिकेशपदाभिवन्दने कामं च दास्ये न तु काम्यया यतोत्तमश्लोकजनाश्रया रतिः स वै मनः कृष्णपदारविन्दयोर्वाचां श्रीवैकुण्ठगुणानुवर्णने करौ हरेर्मन्दिरमार्जनादिषु श्रुतिं चकाराच्युतसत्कतोदये मुकुन्दलिङ्गालय दर्शने दृशौ तद्भृत्यगात्रस्परशाङ्गसङ्गमम् ग्रानं च तत्पादसरोजसौरभे श्रीमत्तुलस्यारसनां तदर्पिते पादौ हरे क्षेत्र पदानुसर्पणे शिरो हृषिकेश पदाभिवन्दने कामं च दास्ये न तु कामकाम्यया यतोत्तमश्लोकजनाश्रया रतिः स वै मनः कृष्णपदारविन्दयोर्वाचां शिवैकुण्ठगुणानुवर्णने करौ हरेर्मन्दिरमार्जनादिषु श्रुतिं चकाराच्युतसत्कतोदये मुकुन्दलिङ्गालय दर्शने दृशौ तत्भृत्यगात्रस्परशङ्गसङ्गमम् घ्राणं च तत्पादसरोजसौरभे श्रीमत्तुलस्यारसनां तदर्पिते पादौ हरे क्षेत्रपदानुसर्पणे शिरो हृषिकेशपदाभिवन्दने कामं च दास्ये न तु कामकाम्यया यतोत्तमश्लोकजनाश्रया रतिः. Okay, we will also read from the other book. Just a minute. Just one section. It's been a long time since we read from there. Okay, so we are there. So this is His Grace Vaisheshika Prabhu very nicely mentions his experiences, in book distribution, and then his, how dear book distribution is to Srila Prabhupada and things like that. So let's read this section. Doing the impossible. Srila Prabhupada sometimes gave orders that required incredible commitment even to attempt to execute. For example, in Los Angeles, during the summer of 1975, he gave two of his disciples the seemingly impossible task of publishing 17 books from raw manuscripts in just 2 months. 15 volumes of Chaitanya Charitamrita had to go through editing, typesetting, proofreading, layout, paintings, layouts, and then paintings had to be drafted and completed to illustrate them. And add to that the two volumes of the fifth canto of Srimad Bhagavatam already in the work, and yet get a total of 17 volumes. Rameshwar and Radha Vallabh, in charge of printing Srila Prabhupada's books at that time, were shocked to hear Srila Prabhupada's order. Before Srila Prabhupada's arrival in Los Angeles, they had invested in state of art production equipment and meticulously organized the publishing department. Having given their full attention and energy to maximizing efficiency, they had been proud to report to Srila Prabhupada that they would be able to complete the printing of Chaitanya Charitamrita at what they considered the swiftest pace possible, one volume every 2 months. No, can remember, like, no, very very amazing setup they had made, and with that they will be able to publish one book every 2 months. No, that was a great thing for them. But then, now, what did Prabhupada do? Now, without warning and in front of all the devotees, Srila Prabhupada gave them the unequivocal order to publish all 17 volumes in only 2 months. On on hearing his spiritual master's instruction, Rameshwar made what he thought a sincere and reasonable response. But Srila Prabhupada, that's impossible. Srila Prabhupada replied, impossible is a word found only in Fool's Dictionary. Making Napoleon's famous dictum his own, Srila Prabhupada infused in with spiritual power. For him, there would be no retracts from Russia to Waterloo's. That means, like, nothing like Prabhupada has told, it's told. That's it. No, it has to be executed. So as Srila Prabhupada turned to finish his morning walk, the stunned Rameshwara and Radha Vallabh dropped behind. So they were walking with Srila Prabhupada on the beach, and the moment they heard this order from Srila Prabhupada, Prabhupada actually was walking. They just stopped walking. They just went back to their place, and they didn't even inform Prabhupada. They just like stopped walking, and then they just went back and they started working on the order of Srila Prabhupada. Right? So they realized they couldn't refuse. So instead, they began to consider how to apply the order. The instant they accepted this seemingly impossible task, the power and magic inherent in commitment descended on them. As he did for Brahma, the super soul provided the spiritual intelligence from within, and creative idea flowed into their minds. The complexity of the task was mind-boggling, but in the following 2 months, Rameshwara and Radha Vallabha and the entire ISKCON Los Angeles community realized not only how the spiritual master's unrestricted blessings flow to those who apply his order, but how and um, by his grace the impossible can become possible. The sacrifice the devotees made to execute this particular order is legendary. They gave up all comforts and worked tirelessly with single minded resolve to achieve the goal. Often waking in the morning, slumped over desks or easels, means they would be drawing and they would fall asleep, because like they were just working throughout the clock. Around the clock, they were working. After the goal was achieved, they received a letter from Srila Prabhupada dated September 1, 1975. You have taken seriously this work, and I know that my Guru Maharaj is pleased with you because he wanted this. So, by this endeavor, you will all go back home, back to Godhead. Srila Prabhupada gave this blessings to them. Right? So, note Srila Prabhupada's statement that his disciples' devotional sacrifice had pleased his Guru, showing how disciple service is passed up through the chain of disciplic succession. About the power of applying the pure devotee's order, Srila Prabhupada recalls in his purport to Srimad Bhagavatam 3.22.5 his Guru's first sacred order to him and how it affected his life. Once we had the opportunity to meet, Vishnupad Sri Srimad Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Maharaj, and on first sight he requested this humble self to preach his message in the Western countries. There was no preparation for this, but somehow or other he desired it, and by his grace we are now engaged in executing his order, which has given us a transcendental occupation and has saved us and liberated us from the occupation of material activities. So the order of the spiritual master is really, really very powerful and very wonderful. No, devotional service means not some random activity. I just take some. I just offer some flowers to the Lord, or some randomly I'm just doing something. No, everything that has been told, Srimad Bhagavatam says, the spiritual master says, you have to offer flowers in this way. We offer and it becomes devotional service. If I myself do something, it is not devotional service, right? So it should be ordered by the spiritual authority. And here we see that Prabhupada is giving such amazing credit to the order of a spiritual master. Because he ordered me, then I did that. That was like amazing. So that's something like Prabhupada is actually very thankful of and grateful of, that he has got this order to spread the message of Krishna consciousness, and Prabhupada endeavored to do it. Okay, Srila Prabhupada too worked with one pointed attention. He applied his Guru's order throughout his life against seemingly impossible odds, and just look at what he accomplished. After Srila Prabhupada arrived in America, in a lecture dated December 21, 1966, he explained to his disciples the power of applying the Guru's order. If you cannot do, if you simply think, how can I do, how can I do, how can I do, simply this, if you practically cannot do, but if you simply think that how can I do, oh, then also you become liberated, then also you become liberated. And what to speak of when we actually serve, so just even thinking that how can I execute the order of the spiritual master, even that thought process liberates. No, forget about even serving. No, even the thought process, the anxiety to serve, no, that itself is liberating. In Srila Prabhupada's case, he never begrudged the paltry facilities he had in India before traveling to the West. He used whatever was available, whatever he could afford, in order to execute his Guru's order to preach Krishna consciousness. Many people thought it unlikely that Prabhupada could succeed, given his advanced age and lack of resources. But with faith in his spiritual masters, order and his diligence in applying it, by 1944, Srila Prabhupada had conceived, written, edited, and typed the manuscript, as well as designed the logo for Back to Godhead. And after writing and printing BTG, he moved about the city and towns of India to sell it. Soon, Srila Prabhupada was publishing and distributing not only magazines but also small books like Easy Journey to Other Planets. Next, he began his translation and commentary on Srimad Bhagavatam, a monumental task he would work on for the rest of his life. Immediately after publishing the Bhagavatam's first canto in 3 volumes, he personally showed the books around and sold the sets to bookstores, libraries, and academic institutions across India. On March 2, 1975, in a room conversation in Atlanta, Srila Prabhupada spoke to an assembly of book distributors about his days distributing books and magazines in India. The first stage, I used to publish and distribute as Grahastha. I did not mind whether one page or not. I was distributing. So spending about 400, 500 rupees, I did not care if one page or not, but I'll distribute. Then when I retired, left home, I was publishing and distributing myself to get subscription. The subscription was very cheap, 2 rupees, 4 annas. I think for the year, 2 copies per month. Then I published Bhagavatam. So I was going to libraries, schools, colleges, and everyone was purchasing. My Bhagavat was being purchased by your Congress library. In Delhi, they have got office. So there was standing orders, 18 copies of my book as soon as they are published. The head librarian in India, New Delhi, he gave me standing order. Right? So very, very touching section of this book. So how impossible becomes possible if we have the faith in the spiritual master's orders, and then if we are diligently working towards that, no, impossible becomes possible, right? So spiritual energy that comes in. Okay, so with this, we will close today's session. And today evening, we are going to have the first Gita overview session. In fact, yesterday we gave it to one devotee audience. So today we are going to do it for common people. So please send the message to as many people as possible, and then get people registered to it, so that we will have more people joining in for today's Gita overview. And at the end of Gita overview, we are going to speak about like gifting Gita and purchasing Gita and things like that. So it's like it's a very very good mechanism. We think it'll be a good mechanism to distribute Srila Prabhupada's books. So let's see know what happens in the evening. So thank you all very much. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Srimad Bhagavad Gita ki jai. Srila Prabhupada Book Marathon ki jai. Hare Krishna.